Hi everyone, welcome to WW Designs. My name is Nikki and today we are going to make a bit of a grungy mixed media tag. Now, if you haven't already seen my video about making or using your scraps to make masterboards for junk journaling, you should really head over and watch that. I'll pop it down in the description box. Today we're going to be playing with this one here, which I made out of scraps. Now, I have not cut this piece out of here because this is what I had left over when I made that masterboard. I had a few bits left and I thought, well, why let them go to waste? So what I did, I just backed them onto, this is a Nescafe coffee sachet box, which I use at work, and I love the background. This is what's printed inside. So I decided to use up those scraps and let's have some mixed media fun. So we're going to make a tag. We're going to play with things that most people have floating around at home. That's the whole idea. This is what junk journaling should be about, is trying to use scraps and things, not always having to go and buy the latest and greatest. That's why I made the video about making those masterboards so you can use up your scraps and create pretty things. So the first thing I want to do, I've got a little scrap of book page here. I like the type, or the font, I should say. Let's use the right words here. And I want to add a little bit into a couple of places on here. So we're going to, I think that will work. No, maybe I like that side better. So let's tear this up here. And then we're just going to, oops, I didn't grab my, where is it? Hang on. We'll use this bit of rubbish here. This will do the job perfectly. I normally use junk mail magazines when I'm putting glue on things because when they get gluggy, then I just throw them out. So let's add this little bit to there. And then I do want another little bit up here. So let's just tear this off. And then this goes back in my scrap bin because I haven't even used it up. But that's why I have a scrap bin. All right, let's pop that about there, I think. All right. So, simple couple of little bits of book page. Might leave that at that for now. Then the next thing we want to do is, of course, this is way too bright for something grungy. So I think I better run to my most favourite supply for all things grunge, and that is coffee. And we're going to just hold this up here and then we're going to spray some on here. Let it run down and around. Again, don't want it all perfectly covered. Don't mind a little bit of white showing. And then we will just wipe up. Oh no, wait a minute. I have another bit I need to do. I am not going to put ribbon or anything at the top of this. I want to use one of these whale tails. And I love this print, but of course this is way too white. So what we're going to do with the scraps of drips of coffee here, I'm going to pop some on there for now. And we're going to let that dry as well, as we will be adding that to the top when we are done. So we're going to let this dry and then we're going to move on to the next bit. So the next thing we're going to do is add some paint. I've just grabbed this very cheap brown paint that I had in my stash, and I'm going to grab my old painty book here. I sometimes use this as a palette and can use it up later once it's dry. I'm using this really old brush. It's a bit rough. It's not a nice brush, but it is very handy when you're not going to get beautiful, super smooth lines out of it. But that's the whole idea. What I want to do is just sort of bring all of this sort of in together. We're just going to add a little bit in just around the edges and things. Oh, I think I'm going to need a bit more. That's the trouble with cheaper paints. You often find you have to use a bit more, but that's okay. It doesn't matter how much I use. This cost me a whole $2, so it's an absolute bargain. Just flip this around. Don't want to cover up anything completely, but just want to add, because this paper is going to be very porous and I want to do some stamping on top of this, I was a bit worried that it might sort of all just soak down into the paper and you sort of won't see it. So we're creating a bit of a background just for that purpose. So now we're just going to grab the hairdryer and we'll dry this off and we'll be back. So the next thing we're going to do is some stamping, and I've placed this on top of my book, and I can use that if I want to stamp off the edge, and you can end up with some interesting things that you can play with at a later date. So the first thing we're going to do is to add a little bit of script. I've got this little stamp. I have no idea where I got it from, and we're going to just gently add some of this. So I am using my favourite Ranger archival ink in black, because if I want to do any other mixed media things with it, of course, it will not be affected by water. So it's a great way to play. And I just want this randomly in certain spots. I don't want a lot of it. I just want to add a few bits and pieces. I don't need a ton. I think I need a little bit more than that though. Whoops. A little bit of a wet wipe there, trying to come and join the party. Let's get some on there. I also want a little bit on this, so before I forget to do that. And you can stamp on the texture paste. Okay, I think that will do. I don't want too much. So let's move on to the next stamp. What I have here, this is a set. I don't know where I got these. I've had these in my stash for ages and I have not used them, even though they're really cool. I love all those moons, and I had grand plans to use that, but I never got around to it. And this here is just a leafy pattern, and I thought I might add a few of those, and you'll see why shortly. Oh, that worked out well. Let's have a few more of those. I like this because it's a bit rough looking, you know, it's not all perfectly filled out leaves. How about one more? Oh yes, I like those. That was successful. Then the lucky last thing I want to do is I have another set. This one did come from Temu. I want to add some numbers. And I'm just going to randomly put, what do we got? Well, why don't we use 1, 2, 3? So we're just going to randomly put them down and then add a few of these into the background. Where do we want this? And then each time I put it down, I'll just change the angle. Maybe one more. this way. And then I might just put some on there too while I'm at it. Oh, perfect. Okay, that worked out very nicely. So the next thing we have, now I've just got to grab them. I have fussy cut out some flowers, and I blew them away accidentally when I put the book down. These are quite dark, a little bit grungy. I thought that was perfect for this particular tag. So we're just going to add those in next. So start with this one, the black one. Okay, I don't think it matters which way they go. So we'll just pop that down there. So this is very dark and grungy, I can assure you. But I think it's fun. I don't do that much grungy stuff, so this is a bit of an experiment for me. Trying to see if I can get into grunge mode. Let's put one down here. Oh, it's sort of hiding that leaf. Never mind, doesn't matter. It is what it is. There we go. And lucky last, this one is for up the top. I'm just using my glue stick for this. These were just printed on normal copy paper. Let's see. Let's hide that one right in there. Excellent. Okay, that's worked. Now, I want to add some splatters, but I'm a little bit concerned that this bright red is going to be too red. So we're going to do a little bit of an experiment. I do like experiments at the moment. We're going to put a tiny little bit, just a tiny little bit, because for splattering you don't need a lot. So we've just about the smallest amount I can get. And instead of using water to do my splashes, I thought, what if we add some coffee? And I'm hoping that this might dull down the brightness of this red. So when you want to do splatters, you don't use full acrylic paint because it won't splatter. You need to water it down a bit. So let's see what happens here. It may not work, but I'm hoping it might. I just want it to be a little bit dirtier, not too bright red. So you just make sure you mix your acrylic paint really well. And then grab another paintbrush. I find, oh, I'm so sorry. I tried so hard not to knock it, and that's exactly what I did. Be interesting to see what these look like when it dries. I'm hoping it won't be too bright red. Okay, we're going to leave that now, and we're going to dry that off, and we'll see how it turns out. The coffee did certainly do a pretty good job at just toning that down. And this is the reason why I wanted my splatters not so bright. I found this in my stash, and I'm going to include this. And as you can see, there is red here, but it's not a bright red. So I wanted my splatters to go with that instead of standing out and all you see is bright red. Now, just one thing I do want to do with this is I've got this little Brilliance, Dewdrop Brilliance in Crimson Copper. And I know this is supposed to be grungy, but I just want a little bit of something. So what I do with this ink is I just run it around the edges, and then it looks very dull at the moment, but when it dries, you can see the iridescence, and I just love this effect. So we're just going to gently rub this all around the edge. I might just use my tweezers to hang on to this. Let's grab a pair, just so I don't get it all over my hands, because that's not ideal. I'll get it all over my desk instead. That's fine. We don't mind that. These tweezers aren't much chop either. Don't know where my good ones are. Hang on, forget that. Let's just grab onto it. If I get it on my hands, all well and good. I will survive. Okay. So this way we've got a little bit of shimmer around the edges. I will let that dry before I glue it on. So let's get that bit done and then we'll finish this tag off. Okay, I found my other tweezers and I don't know if the camera will pick this up very well. It does take a while to dry when you ink edges like this, but it does have a beautiful little shimmer sheen around the edges. So now we can simply add some glue and pop this down. I want it to hang slightly off the edge, so I'm not going to add glue right up to the edge. Oh, of course, it's all blocked, isn't it? There we go. Okay, there's Mr. Butterfly, or Moth actually, I think you would call that. He's down. Then excuse me, that's not what I meant to say. One last thing, I found this little cutout with the word unique, and I thought that would work very nicely on this. So we'll just add a little bit of glue to that. And where shall we put this? Decisions. No, I think I like it there. Oh, no, maybe here, right in the middle. No, look, oh, I hate it when I have to make decisions like this. Let's pop it right there. There we go. And lucky last, I'm going to put a tab up the top instead of ribbon or something, because I thought, no, ribbon's not grungy enough. I don't have grungy ribbon in my stash, I don't think. So we're going to settle for a whale tail tab, which is going right up the top here. And we're just, oh, no, that's not quite even. It's not quite even. That's okay. It's a little bit, hang on. I might be able to quickly get this up and off and redo it. I need it a little bit further over. Am I going to break it? Forget it. Okay, it's slightly off center. I don't want to tear it though, so a bit more glue. It's very warm here today. That dried super fast. So we're a little bit skew-if. Oh, I got it off. Fabulous. Oh, I thought I was going to tear it and I wanted to avoid that. So quickly, let's add a little bit more and try and get this a little bit more centered. You see, this is my problem. This is where perfectionist tendencies can drive me nuts sometimes. I think that's not quite right, but getting, that's a little bit better. I think we'll settle for that. So we'll press that down. Voila, and we are done. So that is my attempt at something grungy. I don't mind that at all. I think that turned out quite well. And this is the joys of making masterboards. Like I showed you in the video, the intro video to making a junk journal scrapbook. It's definitely worth your while because it gives you some interesting bases to play with. Actually, hang on, I've just had a thought. Okay? I think we need to ink these edges. I think they look a bit light. So I'm going to use the darkest colour I've got, and that is ground espresso. And I know it's all quite dark, but I think I need it a little bit darker. So why not? Especially down here. I think this is where it will definitely be worthwhile. The things we do. Should have thought about this right at the beginning. Too bad Mr. Moth is already there. It doesn't matter. There we go. Yes, I do like that better. All right, I think now I will call this one quits. So this is it all finished. My attempt at doing something rather grungy and using a base made from shopping bags. I'm very happy with how this turned out. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you have any questions, pop them in the comments box below. And until next time, stay safe and stay healthy. Bye for now.